Okay, last part of our review, guys. We'll talk about Chapter 8, which was like our series and sequences, Pascal's triangle, probability, that sort of thing, and then the stuff that's going to be on there from Chapter 9. Like I said, this is also a review for underclassmen as well. We're going to do 2 more additional sections next week and the week after. So we'll add questions to your final exam, but this is still the information that you guys need to be familiar with for your final. When we talked about series and sequences, remember there were arithmetic and geometric. We will give you guys the formulas for the arithmetic and the geometric. You need to remember what things stand for. Arithmetic, remember, write this down. If a series or if a sequence is arithmetic, there's a common difference. Remember that, guys? Common difference. Common difference. And it's what's being added or subtracted every time. It'll be the same number. It's like y equals mx plus b. If you were to graph it, it would form a line. Everybody remember that? You're finding the formula for it is a sub n equals the first term plus n minus 1 times the common difference. We're going to give you that formula. But the common difference, the D, is what happens every single time. A sub 1 is what's the first term, and n is the number of terms. So if you have a formula that says like a sub n equals negative 7n plus 4, and they ask you for the 180th term, where would you plug in 180? You plug it in right there for the n to find the 180th term. We're going to talk about arithmetic sums. That's this formula. The sum of an arithmetic would be n over 2, and then a sub 1 plus a sub n, where n is your number of terms. A sub 1 is the first term. A sub n is the last term. If you don't know what a sub n is, you got to find it. But again, we're going to give you guys these formulas. If they give you a series of numbers and they say, what's the next term? You guys just figured out. A lot of this stuff you can do algebraically. You can work backwards. We're also going to give you the geometric formulas. So you guys will just have to plug in. But if you have something like number 14, I know it's fuzzy and you guys can't see. But if you have something like 14, I'll write it down. 14 says, I can never draw this. K equals 2. And then I have 4K. And it says, what's the sum? How would you figure this out? What are they telling you to do here? You're just evaluating. What number am I going to start plugging in? 2. I'm going to start with 2, and I'm going to end with what? 5. And sum means you do what? You add it. So you guys would say 4 times 2, 4 times 3, 4 times 4, and 4 times 5. 4 times 2 is 8, 12, 16, and 20, right? And then we add those up. What is that? 20, 40, 56? So the sum would be 56. When you are given the sigma notation, remember the bottom number is what you start with. The top number is what you end with. If they ask you for the sum of a geometric, finite, or infinite, you will have both of those formulas. So you guys are just plugging in. You guys remember that? Okay. There's not a whole ton from this section that you guys have to really think a lot about. How about, yeah, this is on this page. How about if we look at like 55? 55 says, find the indicated term of the geometric. Okay, geometric. Our geometric, you guys remember, geometric is going to have a common ratio. We call this a common ratio. And it's what's being multiplied every term. If your term is going down, if it's getting smaller, you're not dividing, you're multiplying by a what? Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a what? A half, a fraction. Okay, good. So for your geometric, again, you'll get this formula. It's a sub 1, the first term, times your common ratio to the n minus 1. Your geometrics are going to have exponents, guys. So do you remember if they tell you like, let's do 56. They tell you that the third term, a sub 3 is 6, and the fourth term, well, you guys can figure this out, is 1. What's the ninth term? How many spaces are between 3 and 4? 1 space. You guys remember that? We're working backwards. I worked all this out on the review answers. But a lot of this stuff from this section and from chapter 7, you guys can work backwards because it's all multiple choice. Do we remember like 67? We have our permutations and our combinations. 67 looks like this, 10, C8, or it can be also written like this, remember? In our parentheses. You'll be given the permutation and the combination formulas on your formula sheet. So you're just plugging in. Remember, this is N and this is R. The first number, the top number is N. The second number, bottom number is R. You also can do it in your calculator. So you have that to check. You'll have permutations, combinations. And guys, you will have a Pascal's. You'll have a Pascal's triangle. You need to know rows 1 through 7. Does anybody remember Pascal's triangle? What's the third row? Third is 1, 3, 3, 1, right? Those are all of our coefficients. Our fourth row, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, right? Fifth row, 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. What's the sixth row? 1, 6, 15, 20. 15, 6, 1. And the seventh?
1, 7, 21, 35.
21, 7, 1, right? So the way that we use Pascal's, we write out what row. Then the second thing we do is we write the first term underneath every single one of those numbers, correct? Then we write the second term underneath every single one of those numbers. Let's do one of these. Let's do 73, okay? 73 is A minus 4, I'm going to say Y, to the fifth power. So again, the first thing we do is identify the row. What is the row for this one? Fifth. So my numbers are 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1, correct? My first term is A, so I'm going to write a whole bunch of A's. My second term is what? What is this term here? It is negative 4y. Very important that you guys remember it's negative and we put it in parentheses because when you square or raise a negative number to different powers, the signs change. Very important. Don't forget that. So once we write everything out, how do we do our exponents? First row is our coefficients. Our second row is the first term, and we do our exponents. We start with the highest, and we say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Remember, the first row goes in descending order. The second row goes in ascending order. Remember? Anything to the 0 power is 1. Now, I personally would go through and do all my simplifications. That's me. I'd say negative 4y to the first power is just negative 4y, right? This 2 goes here and here. So you have negative 4 squared is 16. This becomes y squared. This 3 goes here and here. So negative 4 cubed is negative 64, and I have y cubed, right? This 4 goes here and here. What's negative 4 to the fourth power? Negative 4 to the fourth power. Come on, guys. I know it's the end. 256. So positive 256. And I have y to the fourth. What's negative 4 to the fifth power? Negative 1024. And then I have y to the fifth. Now that we have everything simplified, what do I do? Multiply which way? You're going to multiply down, right? Multiply your numbers, coefficients, and then stick the letters together. So I have 1a to the fifth, so a to the fifth. I have 5 times negative 4 is negative 20, and then I have a to the fourth, y to the first. 10 times 16 is 160, a to the third, y squared. 10 times negative 64 is negative 640, a squared, right, y to the third. 25 times 5 is, what is it? 25 times 5? I'm sorry, I'm looking at it, I'm like, what do you guys, I circled the 6. Sorry, 256 times 5. Tell me again. Thank you. Like, I understood what you were saying, and I knew you were right, but I couldn't understand what I was looking at. Sorry. And then, what's 1 times negative 120? It's 1024, right? Negative y to the fifth. Now, guys, this, again, is going to be a multiple choice question. I, for something like this, would work it out without looking at your answer choices. I'd work it all out and then pick, because your answer choices are all going to look relatively the same, right? Thanks, babe. Your exponents might be different, something like that, but everything's going to look relatively the same, so you don't want to confuse anything. But remember Pascal's, you're going to need that. And then as far as the last chapter that we talked about, well, we have a little bit of time. Let's go over some of our probability stuff. You guys did fine with probability. We have to think, all right? Let's talk about some things that you should know, that you are expected to know. A standard deck of cards, guys. How many cards are in a standard deck of cards? 52. Of those 52, how many are red, how many are black? 26 red, 26 black, all right? I have a lovely picture of your deck of cards in Module 8. But there's red and black. Of the red and black, how many suits are there? There's 4 suits. We need to know that. In each suit, there's 13 cards. Does anybody know what the suits are? Hearts, diamonds, spades, and clubs. All right, that sort of thing you guys need to know. There's a deck of cards display in Module 8 you guys need to know. But as far as marbles are concerned, you guys all can count. You guys know if there's 10 marbles and there's 4 that are blue, what's the probability of getting a blue one? 4 out of 10, you simplify. Where we get confused is with replacement, without replacement. If I start off with 10 and it says in your instructions or in your problem, whatever, that I have something and then it's with replacement. That means I take my marble out, I look at it, and what do? I put it back in the bag. What happens to your denominator with replacement? It does not change. It stays the same. If it's without replacement, that means I take it out and I put it in my pocket and there's 1 less. So make sure you read that. With replacement means your denominator stays the same. Without replacement means you took it out and it's 1 less. What does the word or mean in math? I want this one or that one. Is it addition or multiplication? Or means to add. And means to do what? Multiply. Good. Remember that. If I want this one or that one, this one and that one. What is the difference between mutually exclusive and overlapping? Can anybody explain to me, articulate to me, what's the difference between a mutually exclusive event or an overlapping event? Yes, sir.
One of them has to do with each other and the other one doesn't.
Yep. Mutually exclusive. If you are exclusive, you are by yourself. You have nothing to do with anything else. It's like, what's the probability of getting a king or a 10? Are there any cards in a deck that have a king on them and a 10? No, those two things are mutually exclusive. But if I say, what's the probability of getting a red or a jack? Those are overlapping because in a deck of cards, is there a red jack? Yes, there's two. So understand the difference between those things, okay? And then last, from the last chapter. Honestly, we didn't do it. There's not any questions that's like, identify the foci. And You need to know how to complete the square. All right, completing the square is a big deal. Completing the square. We need to know how to do that. That's how, I love how Shane described it. How do you complete the square? You collect them all. Collect all the X's, collect all the Y's, organize it. You organize, and that's exactly what completing the square is. You organize the X's, you organize the Y's. But you have to be able to complete the square. So if you guys have questions about that, rewatch some of those videos for hyperbolas and ellipses. And you need to know the standard form of the equations. What separates, what is the difference between an ellipse formula and a hyperbola formula? The sign in the middle. Right? I mean, like you'll be able to pick correct answer choices by knowing if they're telling me it's a hyperbola, what's in the middle of my standard form? And a hyperbola. What's in the middle? It's a minus, right? What's in the middle of an ellipse? A plus, okay. What does our H and K stand for in all of our formulas? The center, or the vertex, or something like that. Okay, I think you guys are ready. Your job as seniors, okay? Your job as seniors is on the review day, come in and say, Mrs. Meadows, can you help me with this? Not, can you reteach me? Not, what exactly do we need to know? But come in with, can you please do number whatever? I'm still confused about this. I'm not going to recreate more problems. You guys have a plethora of problems from this review. Some that you had to do, some that you didn't have to do. I posted all of the answers, so between now and then, just make notes. Let me know what you have questions on, and I will answer all of them. Yes, sir. Did you have a question?
Are you going to be given the formulas on the same?
No. You guys are, good question. You guys are not getting the formulas for Chapter 9.
And on the formula sheet?
Hold on. Chapter 9, no formulas. I'm actually going to pull up the formula sheet right now so you guys can see exactly what we've added and stuff like that. Okay? All right, we're good?
And on the formula sheet, is it going to have the name of each formula?
Yeah, I'll show you in 1 second. Hang on. All right, I'm going to upload now. Hang on.